So, in my last video, I addressed the narrative of whether characters outside the power system of Bleach can see or perceive Shinigamis and Hollow, and I used Naruto characters as the case study. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's a very insightful video, and I'm sure you learn one or two things there. In today's video, I'll be addressing another popular narrative out there, which is, can Bleach characters just soul crush anybody outside their power system? Anybody that has no Reiatsu, no Ryoku, none of that. So they'll just get soul crushed, no difficulty, GG. Is that going to happen? Is that how it goes? Okay, this won't be long. Let's dissect this. In the power system and plot of Bleach, soul crush is basically the spiritual energy domination or overpower of one character over another. And this is done when the superior character just flexes their Reiatsu over the weaker character. And there's also implications that characters who can't sense Reiatsu or Ryoku will have their spirits destroyed. So I guess the million-dollar question is, does this apply to characters outside the power system of Bleach? The answer is yes and no. For yes, without a doubt, just by bringing the narrative down to a base level, for a character to sense another spiritual being or resist them and even combat them, it's required that they have some form of spiritual awareness. This goes without saying. But this doesn't even really matter as much as the second point, bringing me to the no. Making claims like characters will get so crushed simply because they have no Ryoku or Reiatsu is just ridiculous and outright fallacious. For one, even though characters outside Bleach's power system don't specifically have the literal power called Reiatsu and Ryoku, there's universes with characters that have their own definitions and different kinds of spiritual energy. Like how in the Narutoverse, chakra is literally a shinobi's spiritual energy, and shinobis can see and perceive this to a good extent as well as manipulate it in fights. Or in Yu Yu Hakusho, the power system over there is Reiki, which is quite literally another name for spiritual energy. Or even in the Dragon Ball universe, Ki is also spiritual energy based in nature, and it goes on and on and on for so many universes out there. So just because they don't have Bleach's textbook definition of what spiritual energy is, doesn't mean spiritual energy doesn't exist outside of Bleach, with many characters possessing it as well. Now, does this mean I'm saying regardless of how little their spiritual energy is, as long as they have it, they can't get soul crushed? No, that's not even remotely true. Which brings me to my second point. The only reasonable condition to which one character in Bleach would be able to soul crush another won't be on the basis of lack of Bleach's definition of Ryoku and Reiatsu, but rather it would be due to the sheer difference in spiritual energy power, potency and reserves. For example, we know that when Aizen transcended by fusing with the Hogyoku, he was so strong that humans around him started to vanish and their spirits got destroyed. But this only happened because firstly, their complete lack of spiritual awareness and energy, and secondly, the ridiculous difference in power. Aizen even states this verbatim, that because humans can't perceive him at all, their spirits are unable to withstand his power. But even as strong as Aizen was, he couldn't soul crush all of his opponents like the captains he fought. Even when he evolved to his Silver Surfer form, Urahara, Yoruichi and Isshin could still take him on and do some damage to his body as well. And not once did Aizen soul crush any of them or destroy their spirits like he did the further humans. You wanna know why? It's because even though he was stronger and had more Reiatsu than the people he was fighting, the gap wasn't considerably wide enough to the point where soul crush would be possible. To buttress this even further, we see how Yamamoto almost killed Lieutenant Nanao by flexing his Reiatsu, and she couldn't even breathe properly. She started foaming at the mouth and convulsing, like without a doubt she was definitely going to die if not for Captain Shosuyu got her out of there. And the question is, why couldn't Yamamoto just do the same thing to Shonsui and Ukitake even though he was clearly more powerful than them, even by their own admission? It's because even though they are weaker than him for sure, they are not exactly further to him, and with some substantial relativity to his character, soul crush would not be possible. Even Dangai Ichigo, who was stated and implied to be a whole dimension higher than Hogyoku Aizen on a power tier, Aizen did not get soul crushed. Ichigo couldn't just soul crush him just because of that alone. He still had to defeat him in the conventional way of battle, even with how big of a difference there was between the two power-wise. So as long as the character has enough spiritual energy in relativity to the Bleach character they are being paired up with in their hypothetical match, all that soul crush shit is never gonna happen. And to hit the nail on the head and seal up this dumbass narrative for once and for all, when Aizen fought Dangai Ichigo, yeah, I'm sure some of you already know where I'm going with this. You know this was coming, you didn't think I was going to leave out something this important. When these two fought, Aizen was so much weaker than Ichigo he couldn't sense his Reiatsu at all. But Ichigo was still able to fight him and equally match him in power. Of course, this was actually due to the sheer gap in power between the two, Ichigo being the superior one, which is why Aizen couldn't sense him at all. But Aizen still theorized that this was due to Ichigo converting not just some, but all of his Ryoku and Reiatsu into physical energy, and that alone is why he could match him. Now, this is Aizen, pretty much the second smartest character in the entirety of the Bleach verse, bar Urahara of course, literally implying to us that with enough considerable or significant physical power, even a false god like Aizen can be overwhelmed and destroyed in a fight, and none of that soul-crushed nonsense would even come up. So if Aizen were to face a character like Saitama, even if you made the same silly argument that he has no Reiatsu, and we even decided to concede that, well, maybe he doesn't, even though he's bullshit, but then at least he's got a ridiculous level of physical power, and granted it's somewhat relative to his opponents, then he can easily combat them. And it's funny because the same people that hype and praise Aizen for his unrivaled intellect will turn around and say this statement he made doesn't make sense. And of course, this is utterly baseless. You want to know why? It's because it doesn't coincide with their fanboy narratives and it will hurt their argument, so they will single out this statement as an outlier. So when people say things like Ichigo will so crush Naruto, or even worse, further captains will so crush the likes of Madara, just know that's the point where you stop debating, because it's pointless and there's obviously a lack of critical thinking going on there. Naruto has so much chakra. Even characters that can drain entire stars across space-time constellations are hunting for his chakra because of its potency and large reserves. And then his attack potency is borderline planetary plus. But hey, let's just ignore all of that. Let's say some low-tier captain or a ranker will so crush him because he has no Reiatsu. I mean, no common sense whatsoever. You might as well say Aizen will so crush Goku and Vegeta because they have no Reiatsu. Or better yet, Aizen will so crush Darkseid and Superman because they have no Ryoku, right? You see how stupid that sounds? Let's completely disregard all the relativity in attack potency and physical strength. Let's disregard their possession of spiritual awareness and cosmic awareness, and let's all dumb it down to they have no Reiatsu, they have no Ryoku. It's ridiculous debates like this we're still having in 2023 in the power scaling community. Pathetic, bro. But anyway, man, that's it for the video. It feels good to put an end to another popular fanboy narrative in the anime community, and I'll keep doing more of these for every baseless claim I see out there. If anyone has this narrative, just share this video with them so they can learn one or two things. That's it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like my video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the post notifications. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.